A 100-year history of the world. World history from 1201 to 1300. The Magna Carta of England was signed on June 15, 1215, with an agreement between John of England and the nobles, and was an important historical document that laid the foundation for modern democracy and the rule of law. The Magna Carta specifies the restriction of power and the protection of individual rights, and has since had a great influence on the constitutions and laws of various countries. Let's take a look at the background, content, and historical significance of this document. 1. The background of the Great Charter. 1.1. The political situation. In the late 12th and early 13th centuries, England was facing political instability and economic hardship. King John waged several wars and imposed large taxes during his reign, which led to conflicts with nobles. In particular, his defeat in the war with France dealt a heavy blow to the king's authority, and the nobles moved to limit his power. 1.2. Rebellion of the nobility. Growing dissatisfaction with King John's rule, the nobles decided to revolt. In 1215, the nobles revolted in London, and demanded that King John sign the Great Charter. In this process, the nobles sought to limit the king's power, and lay the legal groundwork for protecting their rights. 2. The main contents of the Great Charter. The Grand Charter consists of a total of 63 articles, and its main contents are as follows. 2.1. Rule of law. The Grand Charter stipulates the principle that the law applies to everyone, including the king. This played an important role in establishing the rule of law, emphasizing that the king was not above the law. 2.2. Protection of individual rights. The magistrate contains several provisions to protect individual rights. For example, the clause, "No one shall be arrested or imprisoned without due process by a court," is important in ensuring individual freedom. 2.3. Taxes and finance. The Grand Charter stipulates the imposition of taxes. It emphasizes the restriction of financial authority, as it includes the fact that the king cannot impose taxes without the consent of the nobles. 2.4. Freedom of the Church. The Grand Charter also includes provisions that guarantee the Church's autonomy. This contributed to allowing the Church to operate independently from political power. 3. The historical significance of the Grand Charter. 3.1. Fundamentals of democracy. The Great Charter is regarded as a document that laid the foundation for modern democracy. The principles of rule of law and protection of individual rights were later reflected in the constitutions of several democratic countries. 3.2. Development of the rule of law. The Great Charter contributed to the development of the rule of law, limiting the power of kings, and the principle that laws apply to everyone were established as key elements of the rule of law. 3.3. International impact. It had a huge impact not only in the UK, but also around the world. The principles of the Great Charter were reflected in the legal documents of various countries, including the U.S. Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the French Declaration of Human Rights. 4. Subsequent development of the Grand Charter. The Great Charter has been amended and supplemented several times since its signing in 1215. In 1225, King Henry III reaffirmed the Great Charter, and it was enacted into law by the British Parliament in 1297. The Great Charter then established itself as the constitutional basis of Britain, and is still considered an important legal document in modern times. 5. Conclusion. Beyond just historical documents, the Great Charter of the United Kingdom is an important milestone that formed the foundation of modern democracy and rule of law. The principles of limiting power and protecting individual rights are still in effect today, and the Great Charter remains a symbolic document that contributed to the legal development of mankind. The spirit of the Great Charter deeply influences the current legal system and political structure, and it will continue to play an important role